In the aftermath of October 7th, the world has seen a 527% increase in anti-Semitism in the United States alone. One of the organizations at the forefront of combating this pernicious hatred is the World Jewish Congress. And here to speak with us today about their work to combat anti-Semitism is Ernest Herzog, the Executive Director of Operations and Head of Combating Anti-Semitism, Intel and Security at the World Jewish Congress. Ernest, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Just to start, I'd love to hear from you what World Jewish Congress is doing generally to combat anti-Semitism, particularly after October 7th.
Yes, well, anti-Semitism is not something that started yesterday. It's been around, unfortunately, for 3 millennia. And it would be naive for us to think that in this generation, all of us, with all our efforts, will eradicate anti-Semitism from the face of the earth. So our job, first and foremost, is to push anti-Semitism to the margins of society. And this is something that we at the World Jewish Congress are trying to do. This obviously is done through a series of short, medium, and long-term measures. And I can talk about them more in detail, of course. But I have to say, since the 7th of October, everything kind of changed. Our focus changed. The priority number one of the World Jewish Congress became the aftermath of the 7th of October, and within this, obviously, safe return of the remaining hostages in Gaza, making sure that Israel, as the State of Israel, has support where it really matters. This primarily means among the decision makers around the world. At the same time that Hamas and this whole network of terrorist organizations, states that are supporting terrorism, are labeled for what they really are. And finally, last but not least, of course, we focus very much on the well-being and security of the Jewish community around the world. There's more than 100 countries where Jews live around the world. Under very, very dire circumstances. You just mentioned some of the statistics. Some countries have even worse percentages. And of course, this requires a kind of a crisis management approach to the whole situation.
Absolutely. Now, when it comes to the hate speech we're seeing, social media is a huge factor. How much is the conversation of anti-Semitism on social media impacting what's going on? And what is World Jewish Congress doing on that front?
It is impacting what's going on the ground very much. We divide anti-Semitism somehow in offline and online, but actually it's one and the same anti-Semitism. Online sphere is just a channel to disseminate the hate faster than doing it with the conventional and old-fashioned communication channels. Now, having said this, social media impacts the spread of anti-Semitism dramatically. There is no really good statistics that can count all the posts and all the comments and, that spread this vile hate. What is important to say that even though social media is not doing violence, it's actually inciting violence against the Jews. And I have to say, we are now in this moment, we are now in the period. Of course, one should not make comparison, but we can actually say, before the Shoah, before the Holocaust, there was a decade of dehumanization of Jews around the world. It didn't start with Auschwitz. It started with people speaking publicly in pubs, in streets, and we are seeing this around the world. We've seen 300,000 people marching in London, marching all around the world, United States, college campuses. So we are now in the process of dehumanization of the State of Israel, Israeli citizens, but also the Jewish people around the world. The problem is, if this is not stopped now, the next step after the dehumanization, we all know what happens. Violence comes, and the problem is that when you dehumanize a certain group of people, that means that not only extremists, but after a certain point, even ordinary people stop caring and they become indifferent. And they actually come to that point, they think, well, maybe they deserve it because of the dehumanization process that actually took place for the last 5 or 10 years.
Beginning even on social media.
And social media is the fastest channel to spread this type of hate and to speed up actually this whole phenomenon. And this is why social media is so dangerous. Of course, we are working on few fronts to try and make things better online. It is not easy. There is only 15 million Jews in the world, and the group of the people who do not like Jews and who is ready to spread hate against the Jews is much larger than the whole Jewish population.
Much more vocal, of course. We are running out of time, and I want to get to this. I want to hear more about what World Jewish Congress is doing to hold governments accountable. I know you guys have done tremendous work working with governments all over the world to have them deal with anti-Semitism seriously. Tell me about that.
Yes, the governments, of course, have their plans to combat anti-Semitism. Some are doing better jobs, some are not doing such a good job. What we decided to do is conduct a study, and it started maybe a year ago, with the most important countries for us. I'm talking about 40 countries where most of the Jews live nowadays, and to measure the gaps between what the governments are really doing on the ground. They feel that this is the right thing to do, and what the local Jewish communities feel should be done. And obviously there is a gap in every country. By measuring this gap, we can hold countries accountable, not only by saying you're not doing enough, but actually saying this is what you should be doing and you are not doing. As I said, holding them accountable, but also working together with them to help them, because it's not always that this is done on purpose. Sometimes we need to sit together, work together, and find a solution how to better protect these Jewish communities around the world.
Absolutely. Well, Ernest, thank you for your time and happy birthday. We enjoyed having you on here at ILTV. Best of luck.
Thank you very much. All the best.